Hello and a very warm welcome to this special. It is the series decider in Chennai and a big match to look forward to because for both these teams, India and Australia, they both want to win the series. For India, this is going to be their 7th series win at home in a row, and for Australia, a rare series win away, especially in India. So this is going to be a huge opportunity for them. And the fact that we are seeing them compete like this, the fact that the series is leveled at 1-1 just goes on to show how good both these teams have been, how good India have been in the first match and the way they beat Australia, and then Australia bouncing back, bundling India out for 117 in Vizag and winning the second ODI. So a lot to look forward to. Also, that these are going to be slightly more friendly conditions for Indians in Chennai. I am here joined by Jamie Alter on the show as we talk about the likely playing 11, match predictions, statistics. There's also going to be key battles that we will discuss. So, Jamie, just hang on. Let's just set up this match for our viewers. Now, India's top order, they've struggled in both the matches. In the first match at the Markade Stadium, India were in trouble at 83 for 5, chasing 189. And it was because of KL Rahul and Ravindra Jadeja that they won that match. Now, in the second match, Indian batting collapsed against the pace and swing of Mitchell Starc, showing India's ineptness in facing left-arm pacers. And it is going to be very important as to how Indian top order plays against Mitchell Starc. It has been raining in Chennai and ball is likely to move around in the initial stage. In Chennai, India is likely to get a much different wicket from the one in Visakhapatnam, with pitch aiding spinners in recent times in white ball matches. It is likely to be a slow, sticky wicket. So the question is, will India bring in Washington Sundar? We know he has the ability to bowl in the power plays. He's also batting option for them. And then this is his home ground as well. So what are the likely changes? What are some of the key battles that Jamie is looking forward to? Let's get straight into this conversation. Jamie, we said this yesterday and we're going to say this today as well. This is a very important match for both these teams. India wouldn't want to lose a series at home, and for Australia, this is a rare opportunity really to have series leveled at 1-1. No one expected this. I felt like the series would be over with India winning the first two matches and thrashing Australia, but that's now not how it has been. So in that sense, a big match. Hopefully, more friendlier conditions for India in this match.
Definitely, we can expect slightly more friendlier conditions because, like we discussed yesterday, this is not a high-scoring venue. This is a 280 to 300 kind of venue, which, by the standards, the breakneck standards of one-day batting these days, does seem a little bit old-fashioned, if we could use that term. But definitely, I'm on the same page as you, Maya. I did not see India losing. But more than just the result, it's the way that they've won and lost. I'll start with why I'm saying the way they won. Because to take 8 for 28 in that first match last Friday to keep Australia to 188, that was a big achievement because at the start it did not look like Australia would end up being bowled out well before their 50 overs. But then losing 3 wickets in the power play and 3 big wickets, and then having to rely on KL Rahul and Ravindra Jadeja to haul you over the line, that was somewhat surprising. And then the second match in Vizag, where the conditions were aiding the fast bowlers, that was a very, very good toss to win. And in 2 matches, we've seen Mitchell Starc, like you rightly pointed out yesterday, with all those lovely stats graphics, 8 wickets, at what, 12 per wicket, so outstanding. But the majority of those wickets, where have they come? In the power play. So once again, before we talk about the conditions, perhaps aiding spinners more, we have to address the fact that despite whatever conditions Mitchell Starc will get, the kind of form he's in, the kind of control, the kind of swing he's generating, he's going to be a massive threat for India, even on this Chennai pitch, which perhaps by nature will not assist his kind of baseball.
And in fact, let's put those numbers up for Mitchell Starc in one-days, and it'll give you a sense of how good he's been, Jamie, and how, like you rightly said, that even today, especially because there's been rain around in Chennai, this is going to be, this is not going to be easy for India's top order. And we've already discussed their problem with left-arm pacers. But you look at those numbers and we're looking at a genius at work. we're also looking at someone who is really in the form of his life in this format. We put in numbers yesterday of the ODI World Cup in 2015 and 2019, highest wicket taker there for Australia. But this in one-days overall, Jamie, and I think the one that stands out for me is that 2021 to 23, where he's striking at 19.4. And that's why all teams coming into this World Cup have to be wary of Mitchell Starc because of how good he's been. And even overall in wins, look at that strike rate, goes slightly up, but it's 22.3. That's phenomenal in ODIs. And then, you know, the best strike rate really for players who have taken more than, or bowlers who have taken more than 100 wickets. So you are really looking at him not just being one of the best, but also the fact that he's on fire these days. So again, in focus for Indian batters, they need to know how to tackle Mitchell Starc today, even if it's a spin-friendly track.
Absolutely, very revealing stats, especially the last line there. You know, the strike rate is 19. That means that we can safely assume, Meha, that he's taking 3 wickets in every one-day match that he bowls, right? And if those 3 happen to, because the strike rates just tell you how often, you know, they don't necessarily say when he's taking them. But if he's taking them like he did in Mumbai, like he did in Vizag, if he's taking them up front, the top order, which, like we've been discussing in the past several shows, has become India's most problematic area of, there's several problem areas, if we're being honest here. So 3 wickets up front is making life very difficult on those who come down, you know, down the order. And if they happen to be Surya Kumar Yadav, like we've discussed in several shows, struggling to nail down his spot when regulars are available, when they happen to be KL Rahul, who despite his outstanding talent seems to carry the weight of everyone in the country on his shoulders, you know. Whether Jadeja, who's playing only his 3rd ODIs in 2 years, you know. So India's top order really needs to find a way to counter Mitchell Starc. And if I can repeat myself from yesterday's show, it was just one shot from Hardik Pandya, but Hardik Pandya, you know, taking the guard slightly down the track and meeting Mitchell Starc's incoming full delivery with that full face to the bat, you know. Just one shot, but it said a lot about how he planned to conquer Mitchell Starc. And I think, Meha, had that brilliant catch from Steven Smith not happened, Hardik Pandya looked like the way to a good score. So let's hope the other batsmen, the struggling batsmen, take a leaf out of Hardik Pandya's approach in facing Mitchell Starc. Because if they do, I think we could see India put up a much, much better total.
Now we're 5 minutes away from the toss, and this is Ajit Agarkar on the pitch. He's saying pitch is slightly off center, so the dimensions change and it's going to be a long boundary. Bowlers have had a little bit of help in this series. This track has covering of grass, has rough through the center. It's very hard and the roughness might come into play in the first innings. Team winning the toss will opt to bowl first as it gets cooler, and it's a belter to bat on. So team winning the toss would like to bowl first. And that's something that both these teams will look at. But the other big question, Jamie, that I saw after watching the 2 matches is that is India presuming that the pitches are going to be spin-friendly at home now because of what we've seen? And I know that the World Cup happens in October, but I was listening to Rahul Dravid in the press conference, and he said that, look, this is not in IPL, they are going to get slow, but World Cup is in October. So you are going to see different pitches. But what we've seen from the last 2 games is that, you know, both those pitches didn't help spinners. So are they now, and they're going to be playing in 9 different locations, the World Cup. Is that something that the team should be looking at? Not presume that every pitch is going to be spin friendly in India.
Yeah, I mean, the moment you pose the question like that, I'm reminded of a dialogue from a Steven Seagal film from the 90s. When he says the mother of assumption is all screw ups, you know. So the time you start to make assumptions, you know, in a World Cup year, you're going to have problems. But just like we talked about yesterday, there are going to be several tracks where spin is going to come in handy, and one of them is the match which is going to start in half an hour, MA Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. This is a track where India need to back their spinners, whatever combination of spinners they pick, you know. World Cup is still six months down the line. Rahul Dravid, Rohit Sharma, Vikram Rathore, bowling coach, whoever's there, Paras Mamre, these guys need to assess the best 11 because this is a must-win situation, right?
Yeah.
And while this match may give you an indication of what you'll find in Chennai 6 months down the line, this team should be worrying about how can they get out Travis Head, how can they get out Mitchell Stark, how can they get out Steve Smith, and how, more than all these questions, how can they counter Mitchell Stark? But yes, going back to your question, keeping in mind the kind of pitches we're going to see across those 9 venues you mentioned, there will be plenty which will aid spinners because, like I said yesterday, India have four, to my mind, four quality spin bowling all-rounders, of which all four, I dare say, should get some chance at the World Cup.
Okay, let's also take a look at the pitch report now. In recent times, MA Chidambaram Stadium, we've seen in white ball matches, especially in IPL, the way Chennai Super Kings is constantly troubling other visiting teams with their spinners. So this is going to be a spin-friendly track, no doubt about it. Rain or no rain, it is going to be, you're going to see spin and bounce here, but it's slow, it's also sticky, you know, unlike Wankhede and Visakhapatnam. So 13 ODI matches, out of which India have won 7 and they have lost 5 matches. Then India have won 3 and lost 2 of their last 5 matches at this venue. The other thing being that in the last 5 matches, team batting first have won thrice and batting second have won twice, and 259 runs in 21 ODIs is the average score at this venue. So not going to be a high scoring match. But having said that, like I said yesterday as well, 2019 was the last time India played against West Indies, and West Indies ended up winning because it got better under the lights. They ended up winning by 8 wickets. So let's see how the pitch plays. But like Jamie said, maybe it's not, you know, there's too much talk. And like Rohit Sharma also said, too much talk around the pitch. Let's figure out what the key battles are and how to handle them. We've spoken about Mitchell Stark. Now, we've spoken about India's top order, Jamie. Let's also talk about Australia and how Australian batting has been. Mitchell Marsh has really shown how good he can be at the top of the order. But if David Warner gets a go today, Mitchell Marsh will come down. So they have problems of their own, really, Australia, in trying to figure out their batting order. And they're also playing this is their last ODI before August. And when they come back, then just before the World Cup for those 3 ODIs, David Warner. And you know, unlike what many believe, he has struggled in red ball, but in white ball, in ODIs, he's actually been pretty consistent.
He's been very, very consistent. Look, I mean, even in red ball cricket, he's played over 100 test matches, you know. He's right up there when you talk about Australian test openers. But while he's coming off his most successful 12-month period, that is 2022, David Warner at this age was still very fit and he had an outstanding year. But right now, I was seeing Sean Tate's bite yesterday. He said, why? Just don't change anything right now, right? David Warner missed what? He missed the last 2 test matches, 2.5, if you factor in the fact that he did not bat in that Delhi test in Australia second inning. He's gone home, he's come back. He's already speaking about how he wants to be there at the Oval for the WTC final. But right now, with Travis Head batting this way and with Mitchell Marsh hitting 2 outstanding half-centuries, the second one has a strike rate around 200. Why would you want to disturb that partnership just to sort of, I'm not even going to use the word bring back David Warner, I'm going to use the term test out David Warner, right? David Warner does not need testing out right now. We know his pedigree in white ball cricket, outstanding one-day opener. He, in about 10 days now, Maya will have to lead the Delhi Capitals in the IPL, right? And knowing David Warner, he'll find enough time in the nets. He'll find ways to go and just keep himself busy and positive while being in India. I don't think Australia should really tinker with their 11 for this one match. It's rare to see an overseas team come here and have a chance to wrap up a series in India. And as good as David Warner has been, you know, with all the doubts over his form these days, let the guy sit out. He has ample chances to roar back into form with the IPL. I just would be very averse to tinkering with this Head-Marsh opening combination right now.
Okay. Now, the news from MA Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai is that Australia won the toss and they've opted to bat first. And I've also got the playing 11, Jamie. And as far as I can see in this playing 11, there are no changes. There is no Washington Sundar. There is no rest for Mohammad Shami. It's exactly the same team from the last game. So India have gone in with exactly the same playing 11. as the one in Visakhapatnam. No changes there. Your first reaction, and also let's just put the breaking news up so that our viewers can watch that as well. India, in fact, Australia have won the toss and they've opted to bat first. It's the same playing 11 for India. No changes. Rohit Sharma, the captain, Shubman Gill, both opening, and then there is Virat Kohli at number 3, Suryakumar Yadav at 4, KL Rahul, Hardik Pandya, the vice captain, Ravindra Jadeja, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Mohammad Siraj and Mohammad Shami. Your first reaction, Jamie, before I also put the playing 11 for Australia. But Australia first winning the toss, batting first, and India's playing 11.
On the toss, that's a very, very good toss to win in a decider, and I'm very glad that Steve Smith has opted to bat. I see too many white ball captains in T20s, in one days and the IPL choosing to chase. I get there's certain logic, but I've always felt your best chance in any match, any tournament is to go out there. You know the conditions. You played here before. You know, you played so many IPL matches. Always in a knockout match, and this is a knockout match because it's a decider, put your best foot forward and try to bury the opposition with runs. So from an Australian perspective with the toss, very good to win. Now regarding India's unchanged 11, I'm not surprised because like we discussed yesterday, it would be a left field. It would be a slightly risky move to drop a spinner of Kuldeep Yadav's pedigree and an informed Kuldeep Yadav, because I'm not going to even look at that second match. The bowlers never stood a chance when defending 117. Like I said yesterday, it was always going to be a left field pick to bring in Washington Sundar. And again, India still have 3 very capable spinners, right? It was always going to be about which 3. And I'm not surprised, though. I would have liked to see Washington Sundar get a go because he's been so vital to India's white ball plans in the last 2 years, particularly in T20s. But again, India have backed Kuldeep Yadav as they rightly should on this track.
Okay, let's put up the playing 11. Like I said, no changes there for India. Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma at the top, Virat Kohli, Suryakumar Yadav. And I was somewhat expecting this. Let's put the playing 11 up, please. I was expecting this, Jamie, because in that Rahul Dravid press conference, I mean, he was very clear on what he wanted, spoke about how they're not worried about Suryakumar Yadav's form in ODIs. We know they back KL Rahul. The only change, as we were talking about, was maybe get Washington Sundar in place of Kuldeep Yadav or Akshar Patel. That was something that people were talking about. The other thing was Mohammad Shami, keeping in mind the World Test Championship final, the IPL workload. Maybe he could have been rested and Umran Malik could have been given an opportunity, but that's not happened. So that's what I wanted to also ask you about, Jamie. To stick with Mohammad Shami, is that something that is okay? Because I mean, now you've got to manage all these players and their workload. IPL goes on for almost 2.5 months, and then you have the World Cup, World Test Championship final within 1 week of IPL finishing. All these players would be really overworked.
Absolutely, Meha, they'll be overworked. But just because it's one ODI, I don't think the Indian team would have seriously considered benching or resting Mohammad Shami because, like we discussed before, in the absence of Jasprit Bumrah and the fact that the team was clearly moved on beyond Bhuvneshwar Kumar, that experience factor, that seniority factor is really lacking. And that is the main reason why I think Mohammad Shami was brought back into the ODI scheme of things, keeping in mind the World Cup. Since the 2019 World Cup, Mohammad Shami did not play very many ODIs. But in the last 12 months, last 8-9 months, he's been given more chance. And this year, he has become the leader of this bowling attack because of his seniority. I know Mohammad Siraj is ranked number 1. But when you look at skill and experience, Mohammad Shami offers you that, So yes, there will be the temptation to perhaps rest him, but it's one ODI. You need to win this match. You need to bounce back. And that control factor that he gives you, by and large, I know Mohammad Shami can often leak runs at the death, but the Indian team is spinning a lot on him. And then you see, if Mohammad Shami manages to come through the IPL, the longest IPL ever, Meha, if he managed to come out of that unscathed, he's definitely going to lead India's attack at the Oval for the WTC final. But after that, when the team goes to the West Indies, Mohammad Shami is not going to be on that flight because they need him for the one-day World Cup. So the actual nervous period for fans and where the BCCI needs to manage his workload is actually post the WTC final. That's when you need to become selective with when you play Mohammad Shami. Until then, one-day match here and there, I think it'll be okay.
Let's also take a look at the Australia playing 11 then. David Warner is back for all David Warner fans. There's been much talk around when is he going to come back. So David Warner is back. Mitchell Marsh will probably go down the order. There's another change. Cameron Green wasn't feeling too well, as Steve Smith said at the toss. So there is Ashton Agar who's in, David Warner is in, and Cameron Green is out. There's another thing, Jamie, going in with Ashton Agar, they also have realized and know that conditions are going to favor spin to get him then in place of Nathan Ellis. What do you make of Australia playing 11?
Well, there you go. David Warner has indeed been tried out. I'm somewhat on the fence when it comes to that because he's just not got enough match time here of late. And in playing him, despite the massive pedigree he brings, you have disturbed this opening combination, which has done so well for you. You know, not to say that Mitchell Marsh, if indeed he does bat at 3, is going to struggle because he's done well at number 3 there. But he said I really like this ball coming onto the bat and the sound that I get when I thump it. It's something I have not got the chance to do. You know, but again, how do you drop Travis Head, who's done very well in the last year opening as well? So TK, David Warner's back. I understand that. Regarding Ashton Agar, you know, more than the fact that, you know, that the track would aid spin, I just really felt for him that he was, you know, he spoke about his ambitions to play a test match again in India. You know, he was prepped for 3-4 months. He was brought all the way to India, and where he looked to many of us, me included, I'll put my hand up, but he looked like being a sure starter for that Nagpur test. After 2 tests, you know, carrying drinks, then going home to play Shield cricket, then coming all the way back to India. I'm just glad that the team has given him this one opportunity. Because you just felt from this guy is a capable player. He fits into the team combinations so well. Whether he's going back again and he's coming back to play a one-day series where he might not get a match, just for all that he's going to go through. Good on the team for saying, Ashton, here you go. Have some fun.
Here's a match for you. Okay, for all of you who are just joining in, and you can put in your questions for Jamie or for me, you know, anything you want to say about the match, team you're supporting, of course, and the players you think are going to be scoring big today. Do put that in, and the key battles that you're looking forward to in the comment section. But for all of you who are joining us now, Australia won the toss. They've opted to bat first. At the toss, Steve Smith has said that it is a dry wicket, and so he'd like to put up a good total and then let the bowlers do the job. Rohit Sharma said we were looking to field first, so there you have it. Good toss to lose for Rohit Sharma. He anyway wanted to field first. There are no changes in the playing 11 for India. There was this talk around whether Washington Sundar would come in with what he provides in the power plays. There was also, you know, Mohammad Shami possibly being rested, but none of that. Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid saying, look, this is the best team right now we have available. We have a series to win, so go do it. But Jamie, all said and done, at the end of the day, spin or not, this is going to be a high-pressure game for Indian batting, who have struggled in this series, isn't that so? As I try to get Jamie back, let's just put the latest out from there. He's back already. So yeah, I was just talking about how this is an important one, Jamie, for India's top order, because, you know, one thing we've seen in this series is that batting has struggled, and now I know they'll go and play IPL. They're not playing any ODIs till August, but it would be nice to have the top order get some runs.
Yeah, you just informed me because I've not had a chance to read the comments. The captain, Rohit Sharma, said that he was intending to field again. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, yes, teams do like to know what they're going to chase. But you know, despite the shaky start, I would have also expected him to bat, because, you know, if your batsmen step up, and we all know they can, we know it's not about talent, it's just about the application against one specific bowler in one specific phase of a one-day match. That is the power play. If the batsman had managed to get that start, there are enough bowlers which they could have chosen to capitalize on. So I always feel that, you know, when you're down, just back your team to put up runs and put them under pressure. Now what's going to happen is, chalo, Australia won the toss. Not surprised that Steve Smith chose to bat. That's the right intent. if Australia do get into that 270, 280, even 300 range, imagine the pressure on this batting lineup, which has already been blown away by Mitchell Starc in 2 matches. Now having to go and face him under the weight of 300. Tough, very, very, very tough. No matter the slower conditions, the tackier conditions, the fact that the conditions will bring in India's spinners more to play. If Australia cross 275, I would not want to be one of India's batsmen knowing that Mitchell Starc is coming to bowl under lights. So, but like you said, this is going to be a very, very close game.
Do you believe that though India are taking a risk with Kuldeep Yadav when it comes to their batting? Batting has struggled as we've seen in the series, and you had the option of Washington Sundar. And I know that in the press conference again, Rahul Dravid was asked this question about Kuldeep Yadav, and he says, look, a wrist spinner will always provide you an attacking option in the middle overs. And of course, we haven't really seen spinners do much because the conditions have been such. And in the second match, India were bundled out for 117. I get that. But having said that, would it not have been a safer option to go in with Washington Sundar?
I actually think the safer option, Meha, is to go in with Kuldeep Yadav because like we've talked about on many shows, he is India's form specialist bowler. And like Rahul Dravid validly pointed out, you do want that attacking option. But again, because your batting has been so loose, you're leaving the middle order with a big, big job to do. And the way that Jadeja stood up in the first match, the way that Akshar stood up in the second match, I will just reiterate my point that having Washington Sundar, yes, you are not getting as viable a wicket-taking spinner. You're not getting a bowler of that standard because Kuldeep is a specialist spin bowler, whereas Washington Sundar is more of an off-spinning all-rounder. But I would have wanted to see the slightly riskier option being taken because of what, I'll say it again, what he offers you with the bat down the order, and also because he is that rare spinner who can bowl inside the power play. That is, he can start your innings if required. But yeah, I think that would have been the riskier option, not taking
the safer option. Okay, but my other thing is also, this was a series where you were meant to find out who your three spinners were going to be, and you really haven't. At least so far, you really haven't been able to figure that out because of the lack of opportunities in a sense that they had. So this match then becomes important here to even see how these three spinners bowl today.
And actually, Meha, why this is the case is because Ravindra Jadeja is back playing ODIs for the third time in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
It's because he was not there for that extended period for whatever reason that Washington Sundar and Akshar Patel were able to play so many matches and, let's face it, do very well in that given role. But because we play players on status, just like Australia have done today by bringing back David Warner and saying, hey guys, you've done very well, but move aside. Big Davies back, right? The same thing. And this is always going to be problematic. Now, Jadeja got that crucial 46. He got 2 wickets, took an outstanding catch in the gully region and was man of the match in the first ODI. Nothing wrong with that. But when you keep on waiting for a player to come back, right? You do sort of tell them, like the replacement guys, do well, but at some point you're going to have to make way, right? So it was always going to be very, very tough for Washington Sundar and Akshar Patel to play when Jadeja was there for these 3 matches, keeping in mind the World Cup, and when a specialist, and I focus on that word specialist because a specialist spinner is a rare dying breed in today's white ball cricket, right? Because you have to be a multifaceted player, which is why Kuldeep Yadav getting those 40 runs in that first test in Bangladesh was a very good sign. But when you offer just one skill in a 3-format multi-dimensional game, you have to do extremely well. So let's hope that Kuldeep Yadav, having been back by the team today, actually takes wickets. If he struggles to take wickets today and he bowls his full quota, people are going to say, why didn't you play Washington Sundar again?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Yeah, it is going to be tricky. Now, I also want to put this up. Rahul Dravid in the press conference spoke about India's plans for the World Cup. We've all been wanting to know how they're planning for the World Cup, what they're planning, how are they going about it. So Rahul Dravid said we have some guys who are recovering from injuries and will come into the frame based on their recovery. All in all, we're pretty much in good space. We're able to give those who have zeroed in on as many playing opportunities. There are a couple of different combinations that we'd like to try. It's a big tournament, ODI World Cup, a long tournament in India. We want to have that flexibility in our squad. Sometimes 4 fast bowlers, sometimes 3 spinners. Within the squad, we will like to keep the options just to ensure that we've covered all our bases for all conditions. Jamie, I know that he's saying this, and he's also spoken about how they've zeroed in on those 17 and 18 players. We know who those players are. But my one question and my one worry is not having a left-hander at the top who's regular in the squad, not as your third opener, not as your second, third wicket keeper. No, I'm not. I'm saying, is that something that India will struggle with? They have struggled with it in the past. They have tried to shuttle Rishabh Pant up and down to do that, or Akshar Patel. But is that like a similar kind of a mistake that they're probably making right now?
Again, the discussion gets amplified because that one left-hander who is the most viable person to bat as a makeshift opener at 4, at 5, at 6 is Rishabh Pant, who's not around. Now, again, were you perhaps putting all your eggs in that proverbial basket? Ke Rishabh Pant hai to wahi khelenge? I mean, no one foresaw that horrific accident that happened to him, right? But it just says that beyond him, they probably assume, well, Ishan Kishan is there. He's got a 200 in a one-day match. He got 91, so he's doing enough. But still, you just need that slightly more stable, perhaps a bit more experienced left-hand option. And if you cast one eye on domestic cricket or the IPL, really no name comes to mind of someone who's a lefty and who can bat in a crunch situation, or who can even bat for time, like India have unfortunately found themselves needing to do in both these one days against Australia because of early wickets. And again, I mean, Yashasvi Jaiswal not played yet for India. Still young, still finding himself. Where are the left-handers? I'm really
nowhere
struggling
to be found.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, no, you're right about that. And you had a Shikhar Dhawan, but now he's nowhere in the scheme of things. Still, last year you were sending him as a captain for all the tours where your core team wasn't going. But now he's not in the scheme of things. But this is a discussion for another day. There is a match on our hands, India versus Australia. It's a series decider. Jamie Otter, thank you so much for taking the time out to set this up for us, as always. Well, so there you have it. Australia have won the toss. Let's take you through what has happened in Chennai. Before we wrap this up, Australia have won the toss. They have opted to bat first. Rohit Sharma was asked at the toss whether he wanted to bat first, and he said, no, I was happy fielding first. So Australia have won the toss. They have opted to bat first. No changes in the playing 11 for India. So all that conversation around whether Washington Sundar is going to get an opportunity, whether Mohammad Shami will be rested. No. Rohit Sharma said none of that is happening. It is the same team that will play. For Australia, a couple of changes there as well. David Warner is in finally. He was injured, first concussion, then an elbow injury in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, but he's fit and he's back for the ODIs. Cameron Green's a little unwell, so he sits out. Ashton Agar is in as their second spin option. Australia have gone into this match prepared. They know what's at stake, and so does India. It is a series win that India would want. At home, there is no way they'd want to lose that. And for Australia, like I said, a big opportunity for a rare series win in a World Cup year in these conditions in India. So a lot to look forward to. That's it from us. Hope you enjoyed this presentation with Jamie and me. Do put in, your comments, questions, queries in the comment section below. To let us know what more you'd like to watch on News 9 Live as well. But we do want to get you all the latest from the world of sports, not just cricket, right here. For now, goodbye. Enjoy the game.